and shadows where the seeds are sown. Fingers tapping on a Ouija board. Broken silence like a shattered chord. Eerie hums in the dead of night.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to a new Things Paranormal Talks. It cuts off again. It's very annoying.
Yeah, I think Restream is doing it.
I think so as well.
Yeah,
Oh well,
but no problem.
no problem at all.
No,
Today we have another guest. His name is Roger, and I am very cautious by pronouncing your last name.
let me try it.
Stankovic.
All right, how are you doing?
Yes, not too bad. It's nighttime here in Australia, and yeah, not too bad. What's the weather like over there?
Partly cloudy right now,
Yeah.
and a bit rainy. It was just a couple of minutes ago, but it's not that bad.
Are you going into spring now?
Yeah,
Okay, that's a nice
yeah,
time. The tulips,
Yeah.
yeah. Have a lot of them right now.
a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them. But like you said, you're from Australia, which is an honor for us because we've never had anybody from Australia yet. So this is the first
All
time
right.
we have. um, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do? Where do we know you're from?
Yeah. Basically, I'm actually a qualified neuroscientist. I did a PhD in neuroscience at University of Sydney, and I began being interested in UFOs at a very young age. When I was 15, I had a sighting of a UFO, and that changed my. It was paradigm shifting. It changed my view of where we are in the universe. I saw something which I couldn't explain, and I won't go into detail now, but it was something that I couldn't identify as a craft or something celestial or something because basically the way it behaved, I could only imagine that it would be something not of this world, and basically that started me off with uh, reading into the phenomenon. I was not interested in UFOs or paranormal stuff. I was had a scientific mind, and I wanted to become a scientist. And I had to have facts, and I had you had to back everything up with evidence. And I was very skeptical. But when I saw this object, it changed me completely, and I started reading up quite a bit about UFOs. Every book I'd read, I only read UFO books, never anything else. And I just kept reading and reading until I got to the stage where I wanted to get involved in research in the topic. And I started to reach out to people who were prominent in the field, like Stan Friedman and a few other people. They're deceased now, but I would email them, and basically they would respond, and I would do some research with them. And then I began serious research later on as a field investigator with MUFON, and then I became national director for MUFON in Australia and New Zealand very shortly after that, 1 year, and I'm still the national director. And basically, I've been involved in various different like when you mention ufology, there's various aspects of ufology. We don't just deal with sightings of people that see UFOs or video them, photograph them. What we do, what interests me is physical evidence, and I'm also interested in crop circles and cattle mutilations, where you can actually get physical evidence and test it in a laboratory. And also I've been involved in obtaining material which people are alleging is of a craft that has crashed. So I've actually tested material in a laboratory from pieces of alleged craft that are not made from on this planet. And we've got some very interesting results. So that's me in a nutshell.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It's a big nutshell.
It's a big,
very big nutshell. Because my first question is, did you read a lot about um, those crashes of those UFOs? But you're diving into it.
Yeah, I have read a lot about UFO crashes, and I actually went to in 2024. I went with a group of people, my friends, to the United States, and we went to all the major crash sites. If you've heard of Roswell, we
Yeah.
went to Roswell. We went to the actual crash site in Corona. We went to Kingman, Arizona, where there was a alleged crash with three flying saucers, and we went to Aztec, New Mexico, where there was a UFO crash in 1948. So 47 was Roswell, 48 Aztec, Kingman 1953, and we also went to Socorro landing site in New Mexico. And we also went to San Augustine, which is a not well known, but very, very significant UFO crash site.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned a few which wasn't familiar for me. Roswell,
Yeah.
I knew, and that other one in the area of New Mexico. But for the rest,
Yeah, yeah. Not many people hear about them. Uh, if you research ufology, just I don't look at a lot of paranormal stuff. I'm not a paranormal researcher. I'm more like UFO researching. And basically, if you specialize in UFOs, then you know, like you'd know about these crash sites. But because you guys have a very broad range of knowledge in terms of paranormal stuff, a lot of people will probably not know those crash sites.
No, exactly, and that's exactly why we want some more UFO researchers in our show as well, because we would like to learn, and I think the people who will watch our channel would like to learn as well, because they are
Yeah, sure.
interested in paranormal as well as UFO and
yeah,
aliens, extraterrestrial lives. Um, Now, my question, I think it's a question for almost everybody, especially if you're a director of MUFON. Have you ever seen one?
Yes, that's what started me off researching. So I was not, I didn't know much about UFOs, but when I was 15, I saw what I believe was, um, it was like a sphere, an orb in the sky, in the night sky, and I started getting interested because of the fact that I'd actually seen what I couldn't explain. I can only describe it as a UFO, an unidentified flying object, because basically it couldn't be described as anything else in terms of, it wasn't ball lightning, it wasn't a plane, it wasn't a helicopter, it wasn't anything like a meteorite or anything like that. And it came up to me and stood in front of me, and then started getting brighter and brighter, and then it did a maneuver, and then it landed, and it lit up the whole area from night to day for a split second. And then I was very frightened because I was in the middle of at the back of my parents' property. My parents had a property which was quite large. It was 25 acres, 10 hectares, and I was at the in the, I don't know what you say, we call it a dam, just a water for cattle. And the farmhouse was quite a distance away, and we didn't have any neighbours. So I was there near the dam, dark, and I saw this UFO come over, and basically it frightened me. I felt very, very frightened by the UFO. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know whether it was going to interact with me. And then I got quite frightened because I thought, what is this? Is it something from another planet? If it is, well, then how am I to react? How am I to, so it frightened me, and I just took off, ran
yeah,
away, and
Yeah,
never looked back, because it landed, and I thought, oh, I don't, it was very, very frightening.
yeah. It's not that I didn't listen about the first story with the UFO. I actually meant the gray one himself.
Sorry, I didn't understand that. Sorry, say that again.
I actually meant an alien itself, not the UFO. 'Cause
Oh, an
I
alien.
knew you started with the UFO encounter, but I actually
Oh,
wondering if you saw an
I
alien.
haven't seen an alien. No.
Well, you
I
hear
was
a lot of
curious.
stories from people who interact with UFOs and landing, and they seem all to miss some time. To miss some time as well.
People have asked me that before, but I can't remember because I didn't know what time it was when I was at the dam. I think it was about maybe 8 o'clock in the afternoon, in the evening. And then when I ran from the site to the farmhouse, I didn't look at the clock. So I don't know whether I lost time or not. I
You
can't
didn't
answer the
get.
question, sorry.
No one was shouting at you because you were late.
Yes, yes, exactly. She was saying, "Where were you? What were you doing?" Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, then you can talk about missing time.
yeah, exactly. It could have been. I mean, I don't know. I didn't have a watch, and it's hard for me to say whether there was missing time or not.
Yeah. Was it a big craft?
Was that, sorry?
Was it a big craft? The US?
No. It was probably maybe it was round and just like a ball, and basically maybe size of a basketball or maybe bigger, a little bit bigger. It was about 200 meters away, 300 meters away.
Yeah.
So, and it didn't stay the same size. It got bigger and brighter. So it didn't stay at the same. It hovered. So it came from the south, and then came across, stopped in front of me, and then grew larger, and then would maneuver, and then down to the ground, and lit up the whole area
Wow.
from day to night in 1 second, and then dark again.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, what's going on? What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. And like you said, you were frightened. I would probably be pooping myself.
Yeah, there was
To say
nobody
the
there
least.
with me. So
No.
you're alone. You're alone. Nobody there.
Yeah.
Nobody. No neighbors. We had a neighbor, but 1,000 acres, and the farmhouse is a mile away.
Yeah.
So it's fairly remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mary is very interested in the animal mutilation part because
Oh yeah.
Yes.
how does that
So am
work?
I.
'Cause I have never seen it, and I have to be honest, I've never looked it up because it quite frankly just frightens me a little bit because I think it's very sad for the animals. I don't
Yeah.
like looking at that. So, how does that work? How do you find those mutilated animals?
So the animal mutilations have been occurring since the 1960s, and there was it's been going on earlier than that, but the first major news article ever written was in 1967 from an Appaloosa horse in Colorado that was mutilated, called Lady, or they call it Snippy. So what happens in cattle mutilations or animal mutilations, not only cattle are mutilated, but also horses, other sorts of animal, even wildlife. We've had a kangaroo that was mutilated in Australia, just like the cattle, just cut around the cheek,
Yeah.
had an anal coring, and no cause of death. So when cattle are mutilated, they appear there is no cause of death. In other words, they don't know why the cow had died. They have pieces of tissue taken out of the body, but not enough to kill the animal. So it looks as if something has come somehow. The operation, the removal of the tissue occurs within seconds of the animal being It's actually, we think that the animal is alive when the tissue is removed, and it's taken within seconds, and then the animal drops dead. So very unusual in the sense that no cause of death, no struggle. The animal does not struggle. The tissue is removed very quickly, and it's usually soft parts like tissue around the jaw, the jowls, tissue around the eye, ears sometimes are taken, anal coring, in other words, they go into the anus and core it out and then take it out. Udder, the teats of the cow can be taken off, and sometimes when they remove these organs, they do it very surgically precisely. There's been cattle mutilations in Australia where they have removed part of the stomach of the cow, but not cut any other vessels. Just go into the abdomen, take out one piece, one stomach, because the cow has 4 stomachs. In this mutilation, they took out one part of the stomach, and the veterinary surgeon that looked at that examined the cow, he said, I don't know how they took out one part of the stomach without cutting anything else. So it was sort of like an immaculate type of surgical removal of one particular organ. And sometimes the cattle are found exsanguinated. In other words, all the blood is removed from the body, and there's absolutely no blood, and there's no collapse of the vessels. So when you remove blood from an animal, usually the vessels collapse, blood vessels collapse, but no collapse of the blood vessels, and all the blood is removed. It's just crazy.
That is absolute crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes UFOs are seen at the site where the animal mutilation has occurred. There have been reports of unidentified flying objects associated with the cattle mutilations and mutilations of horses and other animals.
See, now that freaks me out. The things they can do.
It would freak me out too, because apparently they have done that to humans.
See, now it's getting worse.
It's getting worse. Sorry,
I don't like them anymore.
You need to go to the bathroom.
No, it's not that bad yet. That's too far away as well. So
so apparently there have been human mutilations, and there has been one case, very famous case in Brazil, in the Billings Reservoir. It's called the Billings Reservoir, where a reservoir is a lake. Okay. So the Billings Reservoir is quite a large lake in Brazil. I forgot the Brazilian name for that lake, but there was an island in the middle of the lake, and there was a fisherman, probably, I'm not sure what he was, but he was found mutilated on the island in the middle of the lake. And they took his body. I was wondering, what happened here, and basically what happened is they did an autopsy. So the autopsy was published online at one stage in the 90s, and he had various things done to him, like surgically removed, like cattle, just removal of the tissue around the jowl to expose his teeth, exactly like a cattle mutilation. He had these lymph nodes taken out through the armpits, lymph nodes taken out, and he had petechial hemorrhages, which are hemorrhages that occur while you are alive. So the surgical procedure would be done while you're alive. And he had one testicle that was removed through his urethra. So how do you do that? It's crazy. And so he has no cause of death. That won't kill you. You take tissue from your, that's not going to kill you. No cause of death. And he had all this surgical, unexplained surgical removal of tissue from his body, very similar to animal mutilations. Very similar.
That's very creepy.
Yeah,
that's not the only one. That's not the only one. There's others.
Oh my God. Makes me think, if you're alive and those parts are taken from you, if you're an animal or a human, the stress level in your body heightens so much. So maybe it's a lethal dose of cortisol in your body, which make your brain stop functioning and your heart stops pumping because of those stress hormones. That, is there anything tested on that?
No, not really. They have. I mean, we have looked at tissue from the cattle. I have got some tissue, and what we do in the laboratory is to make slides for microscopes on exactly where they took the tissue out of. But we haven't looked at anything like hormones or anything like that to stress the end. I think that could be something to do with why the animals, you might have a heart attack during the actual mutilation. It could be quite stressful,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know whether that could be, like the reason why. It's difficult to say. I mean, they have done tests on the blood, and that there's not any blood there, but whatever's there, the plasma or whatever's left, they have done tests, but they cannot find anything. No anesthetic, no nothing in the blood that will. Oh, actually, I think NIDS did find something, but I can't remember. So this is the National Institute for Discovery Science by Bigelow, Bob Bigelow's team in the 90s and in the 80s and 90s, where he had Eric Davies and all these other scientists working with him, Al Budoff. Basically, they did some studies, and Colin Kellner. Basically, they did some studies on either tissue or body fluids of animals that were mutilated, and they found one substance, but I cannot remember what it's called, and it's not fresh in my head. But yeah, it's very difficult. It's still a mystery. We don't know what is going on, why the animals are found usually in very remote areas.
Yeah.
Like if you have usually they're very farmers that have a lot of cattle and very big land. And I've spoken to a few, and they have like 30,000 acres, huge block of land. And the cattle that are mutilated are found in areas where there's nobody around for miles.
Yeah.
They're found in very remote areas. So when the mutilation, whoever's doing the mutilation or whatever is doing the mutilation, will do it where they are absolutely sure no one will see what is going on.
Yeah, which is,
Yeah.
I don't want to say normal, but that's something I would do myself if I would be like them. Yeah,
It's non-human.
Oh.
The humans couldn't do. I've spoken to the farmers. I've
Yeah.
spoken to a few, more than 5 or 6 farmers. They tell me they don't believe in UFOs until this happens, and they said, "This is something not from this world that's done this to my cow," because they know we don't have predators here in Australia. We have dingoes, but some of the dingoes don't even exist in areas where the farms are.
No, exactly.
So we don't have any predators. How can they? What is doing it?
Yeah. Plus the manner of mutilation. It's not.
Yeah, well, the
human-like.
thing is that it's not. It can't be a predator, because if it's a predator, it would make a mess.
Yep.
You'd have fur flying everywhere. You'd have blood on the ground. There's no tracks. There's no fur. There's no blood. It's just the cow or whatever animal. It's collapsed, and it's got the surgical removal, and it's got no blood. And it's almost as if they're saying, whatever's done it is saying, this is a puzzle, work it out.
Yeah.
But we can't work it out. We cannot work out how they are doing it. And therefore we know we can't work it out.
Yeah. It's exactly probably why they stay doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to hide the evidence.
No.
Because they know we can't work it out.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen similar cases in Skinwalker Ranch because I
Yes,
follow the documentary, and even those mutilated animals, if there are dingoes or whatever in the area, they don't touch those
yes,
remains. It stays
exactly.
there and nothing is touching it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the predators won't touch the animals. They the animal will stay there. It's fresh and it'll just decompose, and nothing will touch it.
Yeah.
Not even like the other cows won't go near them. It's very strange. So maybe they're picking up, sensing something is not normal in some way. I don't know whether it's a sense of smell or whether it's a sense of, I don't know, perception, sensory perception that we don't know of, but they know that there's something strange there.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
almost like they're scared of it.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, I've seen they are looking for radiation. Do you test on radiation in those areas as well?
No, we didn't test for radiation, unfortunately, because the farmers uh, don't have the Geiger counters, and but we did collect tissue, and they take photographs and videos, and they send it to me, and it's difficult for me to go to them because it's like 1,000 kilometers that I've got to fly on a plane, and then by the time I get there, it's a remote area, and it's difficult for me to actually be on site. But I get them to take the tissue, photographs, videos, and usually when they get to see the cattle, it's probably a day or two, maybe 3 days after it's happened, because they're so remote. Even the farmer has a problem trying to get there because it's so far away from the farmhouse. And usually when they get there, it's too late. You know, the animal has already been dead for 2, 3 days, and yeah, it's difficult to get good, good, you know, tissue for experimental, laboratory tests and things like that.
Yeah. Um, are there many reports yearly?
Well, then they're not. Some of the farmers don't report this. They will just look at it and say, "Oh, it's a dead cow. It's got some unusual cuts. We don't know what it is, but we're not saying anything." So some of the farmers that are more likely to tell someone about it usually are curious about it and want to know more about it, and then they call the police. They call someone like me. They'll email me, call me. Um, Sometimes the government is involved, not usually. Um, it's difficult to say. And I've lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah. Government. Talking about the government, is it likely that they just blow it up off when they have a report like I saw a UFO or something like that?
Yeah, the Australian government is not involved in UFO research anymore. They used to, the Royal Australian Air Force was looking at UFOs, taking reports from the 1950s to 1990s, 1996, early as early 50s, maybe 52, I think, I'm not sure. And then after that time period, they said, we're not looking at UFOs anymore because we don't think it's a threat, and we don't have enough money to, take, like employ somebody to take reports. So they say, call MUFON. So
Yeah.
the government will say, call MUFON or another UFO organization and let them handle it.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
it's very bad because the government is not really involved. It's not like America. I don't know what it is like in Holland or Netherlands, but our government is not really actively investigating UFOs. They used to, not anymore. And they're not. They say they're not interested, but we don't know what's going on in the background.
No, exactly.
We don't know, and I think that it's in their best interest to, if they see, if there's something in the air, in the sky, and it's coming, like it could be a foreign adversary. So why are they not interested?
Yeah.
If it's a Chinese spy balloon or something like that, or a drone from another country, why would they not be interested in trying to work out what that is?
Yeah.
This is what. So we do have a very big radar system in the north of Australia, which is supposed to intercept things like drones or balloons from another country. But I wonder why. They're just not interested in something that's already breached our airspace. They can pick things up coming towards us, but if something's breached our airspace and they don't know whether it's a foreign adversary or whether it's, something anomalous, why are they not interested? It just beggars belief, just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I think there is things happening in the background, things we don't know about because they will never probably tell us.
Yeah.
But here
It's
in the
from a
Netherlands,
security-
they're just dumbasses, so they will probably not believe
it's from a
anything.
security point of view. You need to have, if you like looking at it from a security point of view, you must be interested. Surely you must be interested to know that what's in your airspace. It's crazy.
Yeah. If it's not just a government thing to know, it's human like to want to know something.
Yeah,
At least
absolutely.
that's what I think.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the bird. He's interfering. But here in the Netherlands, you have the governments and you have a shadow government. And the government is one big Muppet show. And they are busy bringing out news about, oh my God, shut up.
Is that a bird?
And yeah, a parrot.
Apparently.
But in the background, I think there's an organization linked to the government who is looking into the UFOs, because we had Soesterberg, and it's even been on TV, and some government people were involved in investigating, but nothing comes out, absolutely nothing. So
Yeah.
who knows? But that brings me to another question. If he is quiet, some scientists claim is they are from a multiverse universe, so a separate universe, and they are dropping in and dropping out just long enough to do stuff. Do you believe in those universes?
Yeah, I think there is a good argument in cosmology, and I think that there's multiverses. I mean, it's a theory, and I mean, I know a little bit about quantum physics. I know a little bit about cosmology. I was very interested in cosmology when I was younger, and I think that that it's definitely a theory which is possible to have multiverses, not just one universe. I'm not sure whether they can, like, if there's somebody in a different, like some civilization in a different universe can pop into one, come out. I'm not sure whether that's possible, and that's why we're seeing them. I think it's probably just in our universe, and they can somehow manipulate space-time to get here. Nobody knows how they do it, but there's some theories as to how they can traverse space-time in a way that you don't have to travel at the speed of light. even if you can travel at the speed of light, which is, like photons are weightless, and basically they can travel from one end of the universe to the other. But to a photon, if you're a photon and you start your travel from one end of the universe and travel to the other end, it's like 1 second to that photon because of time dilation. But for us, if we're observing it, it'll take 14 billion years. So if you're traveling at the speed of light, to you, 1 billion light years is like 1 second. So you don't, because of time dilation. So even if you're traveling at the speed of light, I mean, I don't think they are. I think they're probably manipulating space-time. But if you travel at the speed of light, you're not losing any time. It's just like 1 second for you to get from one place to another. But you can't. Nothing can travel at the speed of light. Einstein's like equation E equals mc squared. There's no way that anything can travel that, because you have to be weightless like a photon. Anything with a mass cannot travel at the speed of light. So I don't know how they do it, but I know they do it.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that Mr. Cheeto, President Trump, was supposed to give out some UFO details.
Mr. Cheeto, is that Trump?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. We're not supposed to talk politics, but I don't like the man.
No, neither do I.
I don't know why he's president, but he is. He was
Not for long.
supposed to. No, I don't think so. No, people hate him so much. He's probably gonna step down himself if it continues on like this. But he was supposed to give out some information about UFOs, UAPs. Did that ever happen?
So I just looked at my X account, and he says he's doing it soon. So it hasn't happened yet. So apparently he has notified Pete Hegseth, which is he's the director of the Department of Defense. I won't call it Department of War. I think it's a stupid term. DOD, Department of Defense. And he's directed Pete Hegseth to actually find the UFO files and release them. And I thought to myself, Kennedy was assassinated when he tried to do that. So I would be very careful if I were him. And also, I'm not sure what files he's referring to, because I think we researchers know a lot about a lot of files, and some supposedly classified files. So I don't know what files he's talking about, and I don't know where they are. What is he talking about? We already know a lot more than what probably the Department of Defense knows. As a UFO researcher, we know, we've seen files that they probably have never seen. So where are they getting these files from? Are they getting them from the Department of Energy? If so, good. But I tell you what, not many. I don't think the President of the United States has the authority to get any documents from the Department of Defense. That's where the UFO files, the very important, very sensational UFO files are, in the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
Sorry, Department of Energy. Department of Energy.
And the only question that comes to mind with me is, what is his purpose by releasing those files? What does he want to do with it?
The purpose is for obfuscation of the Epstein files.
Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense. That actually makes sense.
It's true. It's true. I'm sorry, but I have to call a spade a spade.
Yeah, well,
Oh my God.
it just makes sense.
That's his last thing. He can't do anything more. Like, you know, he has to do something to take the focus off the Epstein files.
Yeah, so
I don't think he's serious. I really don't think he's serious, and I apologize to any of your viewers who are Trump supporters. But I don't think he's serious.
No,
and
he isn't.
Also, I think he said himself he's not interested in UFOs.
No,
he's not interested. He's not a man of curiosity, and He doesn't think outside the box. You know, he says he knows that there's a lot of his followers are very interested in paranormal and UFO related material.
Yeah.
And that's why he's doing it as well. But to also, he's losing in the polls very badly. The Democrats are now, even they think they might win the Senate in November. So don't worry about Congress, and they're going to win the upper house and the Senate. So that he's trying to get back the MAGA base by saying, I'm going to release the UFO files. You're going to love me, you know?
Yeah.
And I will just wait and see, because he did that with the Kennedy files, you know, John F. Kennedy files, and nothing much new came out.
No.
Nothing that we could make sense of how Kennedy was. So who killed him? Why did they do it? We didn't find out. Still, we did not find out. And they've still got 1% left, which is something like, I don't know, probably thousands of files, of JFK files that still haven't been released and never will be released. I don't know. But the UFO files, the ones in the Department of Energy, under the Department of Energy Act, the 1954 Department of Energy Act, cannot be released because they're connected to the nuclear secrets.
Oh yeah.
So they're connected. They deliberately connected the UFO files to the nuclear files so that they can't be separated. It'll take more than a directive by the President of the United States to release them. So I'm curious to work out, what are they going to release? Because I know a lot of files. I've seen a lot of files.
Yeah.
And some of them classified, I mean, that have been leaked. And I can honestly say I don't know what on earth. We've got Blue Book, Project Blue Book, which was an Air Force, you know, investigation. All those files have been released. You know, what other files is it talking about, you know? I mean, yeah, there could be videos that they haven't released. I know the Tic Tac, there's a longer version of the Tic Tac, which they have not released. They only showed us one little bit. There's things like that which they can release, but, you know, like, I don't know how much. And if they say, oh, you know, this is going to be disclosure, I don't think it is going to be disclosure, because, you know, he's saying that he will disclose the UFO information enough to say that, you know, is it going to be enough to say, yes, this phenomenon is real and we have been visited? You know, is that going to happen? Is he going to say that?
The only thing what he could bring out for disclosure is the proof of those crashes, Area 50,
Yes.
51.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
only believable file to
Yep.
disclose.
Absolutely. And Mary, I absolutely think that if he discloses the Roswell files, I will kiss his feet. I don't like him, but I will kiss his feet if he releases the Roswell files. Because
probably we have that precedent after that.
Yes.
Most definitely.
Yes. But the thing is that the Roswell files, they said that they were destroyed, or there's nothing exists of the Roswell files. And they looked at the Department of, what's it called? GAO, which is the General Accounting Office in the United States. So there was a senator in New Mexico who was called, I can't remember his first name, but Schiff was his last name. He was pushed by the public to look into the Roswell files. And in the 1990s, I think, or early 2000s or 1990s, he put in a request to the General Accounting Office in America to look for the Roswell files, and they said they don't exist. And he said, well, so the thing is that either they are lying, and those files were put in the Department of Energy, under the Act 1954. And if they are there, then how is Trump going to get them? Is he going to write it? Is he going to do a bill saying, I officially want you to release the Roswell files, and they're in the, and his son, Eric Trump, is very interested in Roswell because you remember how he interviewed him once? He said, oh, tell me about Roswell. And then Eric said to his father, Donald, said, what can you tell me about the Roswell fire, Roswell incident? He says, oh, Trump says to him, oh, it's very interesting, but, a lot of millions of people are so interested in it, but I can't say too much about it, So maybe he does know something. I don't know. Sometimes he says things like that just to bait people, and just to make it look as if, I know something, but I can't tell you, so it's, that sort of, shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Which he probably will keep up for the rest of his life, but
Probably.
yeah. I had a question, now it's gone. Don't laugh at me, Mary. It's not funny.
It's funny as
It's
hell.
not, no, it's not funny.
I'm trying to pinpoint moments to ask questions, but as soon as I open my mouth, he is acting.
Yeah, he's talking to you. He's talking to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Every time
he
you talk,
is.
Mary, he's talking back.
Yeah,
Is it a
making
he or
sounds,
she?
whistling. It's a he.
He.
Yeah.
What type of parrot is it, if you don't mind me asking?
Red and gray, the African.
What is it? Grey, African grey.
Yeah,
Very intelligent birds.
too intelligent. Yeah.
Very.
So
See?
I'm going to ask the question anyway. So to the listeners, sorry, my bird wants to be put in the podcast. But back to your job as a director, I think. Yeah?
Yeah.
There's a UFO sighting. Can you take us on the road? What you do to make sure it wasn't Starlink or whatever?
Yeah. So with our what we have, we're field investigators for MUFON, and what we do is we have a database, and the database, people report. They know we exist. They can Google up, report a UFO, and then MUFON comes up in Google, and then they go into our website, and then they can report what they see, and they can attach videos and photos of what they've seen, but they have to write a description, put their name, address, telephone number, so we can get back to them. So what happens when we receive the report, we contact them either by calling them or having a video conference or emailing them, and we ask them further information. And what we do, we try and work out what they have seen. What we try and do is we try and debunk it. So I know that sounds weird. That sounds contrary, but we try to find a reason for what they have seen. If we can't find a reason or can't explain it, then we call it a UFO or unknown, So what we do is we look at the video or the photograph, or if they don't have a video and photograph, just look at their explanation. And then what we do, we go into websites like WebTrack, which will track aircraft in that area. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. If it's in a remote area, we can't use that software. But what we can do, if it's near a city, we can locate the date and the time that they saw the object and which part of the sky, and we can work out whether there was a plane there, an aeroplane, or a helicopter or something else, because they all have transponders, and we can work out, oh, they actually saw a plane. They thought it was a UFO, but there was actually a plane. Sometimes planes can look odd. They don't have you see them on a certain angle and you think, oh, that's weird, but it's actually a plane. So we can use that. We can use celestial software. So we can actually use software that actually will tell us exactly what was in the sky where they were looking at, if they give us the time and the date and where they are, which town they're in. So we can actually then say, oh, they were looking at Venus, mistaking Venus, because we know that Venus is exactly in that area where they saw the UFO, the alleged UFO. Otherwise, we can also use other bits of software like satellites. We've got satellite tracking software, and we've got, this doesn't work very well, but also space debris. We can track space debris. So we can work out whether it's a satellite that they saw or space debris or something else. So we can eliminate. If we cannot do that, if we can't find an explanation for what they've seen, or sometimes you can look at the video and say that's an insect, but it's very close to the camera, but it looks like a UFO from a distance. But sometimes they just, or lens flare. Lens flare is where you see a very bright object like the sun or the moon or a street light or a car headlight, and then they see a little dot of light. What happens? The light comes into the camera from the big source, like the moon or something like that, and it reflects back. And you can see that they think it's a UFO, but what we do, we say, "Did you see it with your own eyes?" And they said, "No, it just appeared on the film, on the photo." It means it's lens flare. So you can usually explain everything that they see up to a certain degree, where if we've covered everything that we think we can do, and we still can't explain what they've seen, then we call it a UFO. And we can't do any more than that. We can't prove that it's extraterrestrial because we've got to have the craft, Yeah. You have to have the physical evidence, to say, okay, I got a craft. I can prove it. Here it is,
Yeah. Yeah, understandable. Is there any time when you or investigators go on the road and you explain to the people like it's a lens flare or anything, that they start being very angry with you and you don't believe me? How many times does that happen?
Yeah. So we do go on. That's a two-pronged question. So we do go on the road sometimes. It depends. We only go on the road if there's physical evidence. So there was somebody reported that a craft had landed on the ground, and I had to go. I had to drive there, and they showed me the paddock, and they showed me where it landed, and there was a patch of where no grass would ever grow. And then I took the report, and I, took photographs, video. So we do go out to people. Sometimes they come. I had one person who lived not far away from me, and he saw a UFO, and I said, "Come to my house." So he came over to my house, and I interviewed him. But very rarely that happens. It doesn't happen that often. So we don't need to go out to the site because we are located. Australia is a big continent, and if we had to go out to every report, we get about 150 reports in a year. If I had to go to every place, I would be traveling everywhere, and it cost me a fortune. So we can't do that. There's 16 investigators, and we've got them in every state except Northern Territory and Tasmania. But we don't have the resources to go out. If there's physical evidence, we will go.
Yeah.
And your second part of the question was if they get angry. I only had a couple of times where somebody's in New Zealand had seen a UFO and he photographed it, and the news got around, and a reporter rang me, and she said, this guy has photographed a UFO, and he contacted me first, and I said, okay, I'll investigate it. So he gave me all the information, gave me photographs, told me where it is, and I said, well, you know, like, did you take a video? No, just took photographs. And news got around so much that a reporter from a newspaper got involved. And she actually rang me from New Zealand and said, what do you think of this UFO that this guy is seeing? And I said, I've done the analysis and it's Venus. It was Venus. So what I did, I actually got the, it's a program called Stellarium, which is tells you exactly where, stars, planets, everything is.
Yeah.
So he took a photograph of the UFO, and I lined it up exactly with Venus. And he got very angry with me. And he said, you don't understand. I've seen this. It was in my, it's always there. I says, yeah, it's always there because it's a bloody planet.
Yeah.
And he got very angry with me. And often, like 99% of the time, we say, oh, sorry, it's an insect close to your camera or something, and they're okay. I got one video where there was a light that came into an infrared camera for somebody's camera that they have in the backyard.
Yeah.
And it looked very unusual. Very unusual. There was a set of lights, like one set of round lights, another set of round lights, another set of round lights, and it was like it moved like this in infrared on his security camera. And I thought to myself, that looks very weird. It doesn't look like an insect, because insects you can see you can see in infrared what they're like. Moths, yeah. I've seen moths many times, and sometimes they spiral or they but this looked very strange. And I ran it through AI, and it said it's an insect. It says, it looks like a craft, but it's actually an insect. And I mentioned it to him, and I said, look, I'm sorry, I could have been fooled as well, but I ran it through AI, and it says it's an insect, and it doesn't look like an insect, but it, because it's infrared, it can be deceiving, Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of the time, the people take it very, very well. They say, "Oh, yeah, you're right." But sometimes they don't like the answer.
No, they want it to be.
They want it
UFO.
to be a
Yeah.
UFO.
Yeah.
We had one case where a lady was driving in Queensland, and she saw an object on her left-hand side, which was a green teardrop-shaped object. It came down and it pushed her vehicle to the other side of the road. It actually hit her vehicle, and it didn't damage her vehicle, but pushed it. And then we got dust samples off that vehicle, put it in the laboratory, ran laboratory tests. We looked at the dust samples off the vehicle, and we found a very unusual alloy off that dust sample of copper barium, which is not, it's a superconductor, and it's very unusual to find that on her vehicle. So did this copper barium come off that object that hit her vehicle? We don't know, but she wrote a book about it, and we had done electron microscopy analysis on it. There's a paper that was written up, scientific paper that we wrote up on it. So sometimes you get very unusual, very interesting cases where there's physical evidence. The vehicle was pushed off the road, and luckily she came back onto the road. She didn't crash, but very, very unusual cases that we get sometimes.
Yeah.
But 95% of the cases we can explain easily.
Did you encounter a case which involved an abduction in New Zealand?
In New Zealand?
Yeah, or New England?
Yeah, in New Zealand there was one case where it wasn't an abduction, but there was a man who couldn't sleep at night, it lives close to the ocean, not far away, and he was just finding it difficult to sleep, and he got up and walked. He got a glass of wine, just one glass of red wine, walked to the ocean front. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and he had a bit of wine. He wasn't drunk. He was just had a little bit of wine, thought, I can't sleep, so I'm just going to go to the ocean front. And he looks out to the ocean front, and there is a UFO above the ocean, and it's sending a beam down, and it's scanning the ocean, and he can see it, and he's thinking, what the hell is that? And then all of a sudden, 1 split second, the UFO is on the beach next to him, and then a creature comes out of the UFO and comes up to him, and then projects in his mind, the creature projects, there's plastics in the ocean. You should be really concerned about it. Like that. And he went to touch it, and then basically his whole body froze, and he had a fear of dread come over his body because he wanted to see whether it was real. And then all of a sudden he blacks out and the creature's gone. So not an abduction, but something where close encounter with an extraterrestrial. What can we say?
Yeah.
You know, and I've interviewed him, and he is very credible witness, extremely credible witness, very intelligent guy. He would never make it up, and highly intelligent. He's professional, and he swears this is what happened.
Yeah, I don't think you make that kind of stories up.
No, he didn't want publicity either.
No.
He just reached out to me and told me the story, and I found him very credible, very credible.
Yeah.
We've had abductions before. There's a number of people that say that they've been abducted, but the thing is that we have one of our investigators she specializes in that area, so she looks at all our abduction cases and interviews the witnesses, and it's difficult to say whether they're legitimate or not, because you need evidence. Anything physical, any sort of physical evidence that we get, or if there's more than one person, multiple witnesses to the abduction, otherwise you can't substantiate them. People can say, oh yeah, I got abducted, I remember. Usually they're in bed, but like, where are the abductions that happen where you're not in bed? It's daylight, or you're driving on the road, like the Betty and Barney Hill incident. They're the really interesting ones. They're the really interesting ones where we can rule out hypnagogia, which is where, as you're in your bed, you're about to go to sleep, and you're either awaking from sleep or going into sleep. There's that period of time where your brain sees hallucinations, and you think you see creatures in your bedroom, because it's a psychological thing, not a psychological thing, but it's a sleep wake type phase of your brain where it can make things appear that are not there. I like the abduction ones where they're not in their bed, they're out in the forest, they're driving, or it could be day and night, but they're the interesting ones. Yeah. Because you're not asleep, you're wide awake.
Yeah, those are very interesting. Have you ever heard or been to a witness that has an abduction case, but has clear evidence like a chip or anything? Because you hear a lot of stories about chips or tracking devices that are implanted in their bodies. Did you ever encounter something like that?
Yes, I've had witnesses tell me that they've had implants, and they've shown me photographs of the implants. But when I ask them to give me the implant to test, I never hear back.
I heard,
So
I heard about that a
yeah,
lot of times. Yeah.
yeah, I'm very interested in implants. If they could, like, if somebody's had an implant and that's been extracted, surgically extracted, and like, yeah, well, I'll test it. I've got the facilities to test it. Absolutely, we've got scanning electron microscopes. We've got access to a lot of different equipment in the laboratory,
Cool.
and some of the implants are very interesting. I've heard of Roger Lear's. He's deceased now, but he was a scientist who was interested in implants, and he looked at various implants that he extracted from people, and they some of them can be described as carbon nanotubules, which supposedly have special properties that these implants could be just like you can put a chip in your dog to work out where it is, or like a GPS system. This is what they're thinking. It could be some sort of micro nanoparticle type device that enables you to locate someone with a GPS system.
Yeah.
I've heard of like some theories of that, where the aliens can actually determine where you are if you move house or you're on the road or whatever. They know where you are. Yeah, I think there's some legitimacy, and there is a very good documentary called The Seventh Patient. I think you should look that up. It's a guy who had an implant in his leg. Very, very convincing. Very interesting documentary.
Yeah, I'm going to write that down right now because now I want to watch it.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called, The Seventh Patient.
Let's check.
Yeah,
I apologize in advance if it's wrong. Sorry, Mary.
No problem. I heard of a case. This guy had an implant in his earlobe, and if they tried to remove it, it moved to a different place.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they couldn't extract it. So probably you have to wait till he dies to get it up.
Yes, I've heard of that before as well, where that the implants do move, which is very strange because they don't want to be extracted. Like they can sense something trying to extract it, and it just all of a sudden it just moves. And I'm thinking, what the hell? It sounds so bizarre, but I've heard of that before as well.
Yeah, but nano technology does the same thing. It moves on its own in the area of electricity, magnetic fields. So it might be something like that. Maybe a part of a pattern.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tested anything, but I would be very interested if somebody had an implant that they could send me. As I said before, I have had maybe 5 or 6 people who have told me, like emailed me saying I have an implant, and they've even showed me photographs of it. And I said, well, can you send it to me? I want to test it, because it hasn't been tested. So because they don't know who to send it to. But if they send it to me, I can test it, no problem. But yeah, then I just lose contact with them, and they think they want it back or something like that. And if they test it, it'll be destroyed. But we've tested material from a alleged craft, and I had one from Russia where I don't know whether you guys are paranormal investigators. Do you know what an apport is?
No, I've never heard of it.
Apport, A-P-P-O-R-T, apport. It means that something appears out of nothing, just materializes. Yeah. So this Russian UFO enthusiast was meditating in his house, and he was doing what we call a CE5. Have you heard of CE5?
Yeah.
CE5 event. So he was meditating, and all of a sudden some soot, black material started settling down around, and he thought, where's that coming from? So he vacuumed it up. He meditated again in his house, windows closed, doors closed, and he found this Sudagani, and then he had some telepathic message coming into his head from an alleged entity alien saying, don't vacuum it up. This is pieces I'm giving to you from my craft that crashed on the earth 12,000 years ago. So he picked it up and he sent it to the United States for testing. He sent it to MUFON, and he sent it in a parcel, and the parcel was stolen out of the mailbox in the post office. So he sent another one, and I received it. They gave it to me. I went to the United States. I did a conference there in Dallas. I took it to Australia, and we analyzed it, and it's very interesting. It's like a very light aerogel, and we can't explain exactly why it's constructed the way it is. So it was ported into his house from this entity that he actually communicated with during the meditation of the C5 event.
Wow.
So it's another one where we got a piece of material. I flew it to Australia, and we tested it. We did some very, very advanced analysis on it. So we did what's called energy dispersive X-ray microanalysis on it. So we can actually determine exactly what the material is. And it also had carbon-60 in it, which means it must have been in outer space and being hit by cosmic rays. So it was very, very interesting bit of material, which has, we've written a paper on it, but I want to publish it in a journal for paranormal research or some UFO related journal. It's very interesting.
It is. Definitely.
Yep.
She's wowing without the mic.
Yeah, I'm cautious. I wish that I had some material.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, actually, I held it in my hand and I thought, oh, I can't even, there's like nothing in my hand, just really
Yeah.
simple, lightweight, 0.003 grams per cubic centimeter.
That's
The
very
density was extremely light, like aerogels, especially like as light as air, just unbelievable.
yeah.
It is.
If you are testing it, can you also get an idea about how old the species is?
We couldn't carbon date it because basically it would have used all the material up.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was only a small amount, and if we used it, we'd have to destroy it to actually work out how old it is. So we didn't unfortunately do carbon dating on it. If we had a big piece, yes, we could do that. Definitely.
Hint, hint,
Which
hint.
would be very
If
interesting.
anyone has a big piece, send it
Yes.
to Roger.
Or
So
if this Russian guy gets more, yes,
Yeah.
we can do the carbon dating.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, the first lot of material, as I said, was stolen out of the post office box. They turned the cameras, they turned the security cameras away from the boxes, and then the next day, the box was broken into and stolen.
Men in Black.
Men in Black, yeah, who knows?
Could be.
Yeah, probably.
If
CIA, maybe, I don't know.
could be.
FBI, CIA. Men
Yeah.
in Black. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, when I went to America, the Roswell Museum, I went there and took a photograph of the material. There was some bits and pieces of metal that they found in the debris field by a guy called Frank Kimber. He's a researcher. And when I left, maybe a week or two later, somebody stole material out of the Roswell Museum. All those little bits and pieces of metal were stolen. Somebody came in and stole them. So not only they stole the MUFON stuff, they stole the metal out of the Roswell Museum. And it's just like You know, who's stealing all this stuff? You know, why are they doing it? And now they're saying there's researchers like in gravity propulsion that are going missing and dead. You know, there's that I think 11 people over the last 3 or 4 years have gone missing that have either, like Major McCaslin has actually gone missing, and there's other researchers who are interested in or have been researching anti-gravity propulsion and whatever have gone missing. So there seems to be an undercurrent of dubious nature that's actually being promulgated by I don't know who, but it seems as if somebody is trying to undermine society from actually getting to know exactly what, you know, we really want to know, what, you know, the nitty gritty behind what is behind this phenomenon, you know.
Yeah. You can on the MUFON site itself, you can make reports, if I'm correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Is
Yes,
that
if you go
worldwide or just country-wise?
worldwide, it's when you make a report from your country, it will go to that country. So the server is in the United States. There's only one computer where all the information goes into, and then it sends it to that particular country that it's from. So I can investigate other countries as well, but I'm too busy with my own country, you know. So I just do Australia and New Zealand. I just do those two countries, but because I was what they call CAG. I can't remember what that's CAG. That means that I can actually be called upon to do, you know, studies of reports in Belgium or UK or America or anywhere, but I can't because I'm so busy with reports that I'm doing in Australia. We get a lot of reports, and we're probably the third or fourth country in the world that gets more reports. So the United States gets, you know, more reports than anyone. They got like thousands upon thousands of reports, and we're up to when the database started in 2000, we're up to 150,000 reports already. But a lot of those cases are not, you know, I'm not saying that they're all UFOs. That, you know, there's 99% would be explainable. There's a 1%, 2%, maybe 3% at a stretch that absolutely we cannot work out what on earth, you know, that is. Similar to the case that I told you about, the lady that was driving that was hit, you know.
Yeah.
We can't work out what that is, you know. She is absolutely certain, you know, she's very convincing woman, and we found physical evidence to back her story up. And the man, you know, that was on the beach when he saw that UFO. There's also been instances where people have been killed accidentally by UAPs. You know, there's one case in New Zealand where a UAP went through the vehicle, crashed through the screen, hit the person, killed them, and then went through the back screen. So an orb.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, luckily that doesn't happen a lot, I think.
No, it's fairly rare. Yeah, fairly rare. It did happen in the United States where a policeman was actually driving and he saw an object and it hit his windscreen, but it didn't penetrate it, and it bent the aerial the wrong way, and that car is still in a museum. So
I
that
heard
happened in
about
the
that. Yeah.
yeah, that happened in the 1980s, 1970s, 1980s.
Yeah. I think I heard that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. It's been, that story's been obviously around for quite decades, but similar to what happened in this case in New Zealand, where unfortunately the driver was killed, but the police officer did not, obviously he fell unconscious, and hit his head on the steering wheel, but the object didn't penetrate the window. But he had damage to his retina in his eyes because of the light, and the object did some very strange damage to his vehicle.
Yeah.
That can't be really explained by any. His headlights were busted. Aerial was bent the wrong way. Like if it was coming towards him, it would have been bent like that. It was bent the other way. Very weird. Very weird. In interaction with this UAP and his vehicle, and it caused a cracking of the windscreen, and him having to radio in. He says, I don't know, I hit something on the road and I don't know what it is. It just caused me to lose consciousness, and it damaged my eyes.
Yeah. That was like I said, I saw that a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, and it flabbergasted me. Like I saw a couple of pictures of that car. I was like, "What? How did that
Yeah.
happen?" So yeah,
Yeah.
that is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in that
Very
regard.
weird. And that car's still around. They never got rid of the car. It's
No.
in a museum, just to show you this is what happened.
Yeah.
We've got the physical evidence.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the weird thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm out of questions.
I just wanted to say we asked a lot of questions, and I am actually out of questions, and we are entering the end of the show. So, if people want to follow you, if you are able to handle a lot of people following you, where can they follow you?
They can follow me on X. It's just got my name on it, Dr. Roger Stankovic. And they can follow me on my MUFON website. So it's MUFON Australia New Zealand. There's a Facebook site. And that's basically two sites that I've got. If they want to follow me on X, it's probably better, because I post a lot of my stuff on X. I don't have that many followers, but I get followed by a lot of bots, and then all of a sudden they defollow you, and then you think, oh, what the hell's going on there,
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of Elon Musk as well. So
No, me neither.
Nope. And you're on X.
yeah, but I'm not verified. See, I was on X before he owned it.
Yeah, me too. It was Twitter.
Yeah, it was Twitter.
I loved it. Yeah.
I still call it Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think X is stupid.
It is.
It's Twitter. All right, Roger, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's interesting talking to you.
Yeah, it was definitely. This is one of the most interesting conversations about UFOs I've ever had. So
yeah, you should come back again.
I will if you.
Moment we can discuss and debate with two others. Just popping up in my head. We talked to
Mike Ricksecker
about UFOs, UAPs, and we had one from Scotland. I forgot his name. Malcolm Robinson.
Oh yeah, Malcolm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we could do a 5-some.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see if we can brainstorm about things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Definitely.
That would be great.
We do that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I will click everybody in the back, and we will end with our little bit of music as we always do, and then we finish up.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
No worries.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Voices from the cracks in the floor. Dreams or skeptics grin, ghosts of questions circling within. Answers vanish before they land. Investigators with their tools in hand, talking to the dark like it understands. Spirits rising from the sand. Things paranormal talks behind closed doors.